Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, Shir sponsor Lui Nishbas, Arab Yakashom Leabas Yitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Memtes. We went down a few lines in Amud Aleph when we got to Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana has 3 lines before the end of the narrow lines in the Amud. So Rav Kahana Yovile Zuze Akitro. They gave him money for cotton. The Soif Yakakidno. Then it got more expensive. So also made the Rav. And he wasn't very happy to do the transaction. They gave him $100 for his cotton, and right now it's worth $120. He wants to retract. Whatever you took money for, going back to the sugi we learned yesterday. So if they paid you for 50% of the thing, you give 50%. The rest, whatever was not paid for. So it's only words. For words, you can change your mind. The Eitmar. Dvarim, words. Rabbi ma ein be'em mishum mechusar emunah. For Rabbi Yochanan ma yesh be'em mishum mechusar emunah. Is there a problem of mechusar emunah? Mechusar emunah means someone who's not trustworthy. By the fact that someone changed his word. He said something, and he changed his mind. Rav says, that's not called mechusar emunah. Obviously, he's not so honest. But to have the title mechusar emunah, that's not. Because a person... He said something, he can change his mind. He's allowed to do it. Harichot says no, that's considered to be mechus amona. He's not trustworthy. So when Metzia what does it mean hin tzedek? Why? Because it says in the pasuk hin tzedek, eifet tzedek. So it says that the scale needs to be exact. It says already eifo, which is larger than hin. Rashi says a cheshbon that you have in every eifo, you have 72 lug, and every hin you have 12 lug. So you have 6 lug, 6 hin, and every eifo. So why do you have to mention hin and eifo? The hin loshen hen. Your yes and no should be righteous. Keep your word. So you see meferish pasuk that you're supposed to be trustworthy. One understands it means don't change your mind. So well, that's different. There, he should not lie about something he knows is not true. First, should not say he knows that this thing is silver. He says this is gold. So he's lying about something. That's considered to be something you're not supposed to do. But if he's not lying, he was really intending to sell the item, then he changed his mind. That's okay. So echad b'echad b'lev is different. We're going to speak a little more in the Shor Machshava that it's very interesting. Loshen echad b'peh v'echad b'lev. Just say he's lying. The reason is because, as Rabbi Nebuchai points out, when the mouth is not connected to the heart, I mean, the problem of lying is not only the lie. The problem is that you have the lack of unity, of not unifying a person's self. His heart is thinking one thing, and his mouth is saying something else. And that is connected the whole most of the world to bring achdus to the internal and external. So one brings a question. This is what we learned yesterday, beginning of the daf yesterday. So even though we said that the talis beged is coining the money, you pull the beged, you're coining the money. The money is not coining the talis. That's aloha. Someone who punished Darbal Darpog, yesterday we saw the full price that says, and Dorshos Doim and Mitzrayim Bayam. So you see over here that it says someone doesn't keep his word. So what Tanoi? It's a choice Tanoi. Right, so yesterday, by the way, we just brought this brayso. The Gemara says that's talking when he gave money. He was not talking about not giving money. So one could have said that, as we were showing to point out. But the Gemara wants to say a different answer. The Gemara says the Tanoi. Now, so Rabbi Yochanan Masya tells his son, go and hire workers. He went. He didn't know better. So he told the Poyalim, he said, I'm going to feed you what you deserve to be fed. What do you mean you're going to feed them? You don't know what, even if you give them the Suda Shleimu when he's a king, it won't work. They're Bnei Melachim. They eat, in a way that we're not able to provide it. And actually, before they start working, go out, go back to them and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm not going to feed you whatever you want. I'm going to feed you only pasta, kidneys, only bread, and some tibul that you get. That's it. So he changed his mind. He's like that. If you hold that you cannot change your word, how can you tell the son, go change your mind? Says also the there, the workers do not really rely on this. Why not? They know he's relying. The son can't make decisions, so they knew until the father did not approve it, it's not considered to be a real transaction. So why it says once he said before they start working, even when they start working. So once they start working, they feel that the svichas das. He probably went to his father. My father says it's fine. Says the Gemara, that there is when a person changes his word. Someone tells his friend, I'll give you a gift. He can change his mind. Of course he can change his mind. You can't force it. There's no problem with changing your mind. It says, well, no, that's exactly the difference. The difference is between a small gift and a large gift. Why? When a person tells his friend, I'm going to give you a nice sefer, he really trusts him. He changes his mind. That's considered being chusar hamana. But the guy said, I'm going to give you a car, he doesn't really trust him. How can I mistaken when that makes sense? Saul told Ben Levi, I have for you a meiser to give you. Ben Levi Roshel Asoy Soy Trumas Meiser Mokamacher. So Ben Levi can go and say, okay, I'll make this as a Trumas Meiser. To use it, right? Because a Levi is responsible to give 10% of his Meiser to the Kohen. So I'll use this as my Trumas Meiser. He can't change his mind. That's why the Levi can rely on it. If he can change his mind whenever he wants, why can he? How can the Levi rely on it? If he relies on it and the guy changes his mind, the Yisrael, so he's eating tevel. So you have your rayo that from this because the Yisrael has in it only a very small. What does the Yisrael have? It doesn't belong to him. He has only Toivas Sano they can decide who to give it to. So giving it to the Levi is worth something. So you see, Matonim Muetas is good. So here the case is the Levi took the Tvua, the Meiser, he took it, picked it up, then he gave it back. If so, look at the next part. Nostra ben Levi, right? Tay says you could have asked what's the Chiddush? What's a different question? Look at the Seifo, Nostra ben Levi Achir, if the Yisrael gave it to another ben Levi, the first ben Levi could just say, he has a Torah. He says, why did you do that? You told me giving it to me. But that's all. He can't have any other claim. If he's saying he picked it up and gave it back, why he has only Tyroimis? Once he picked it up, it's his. So you can't say that we're talking about that he's Moishech. In other words, if he didn't do Mashiach, therefore it doesn't belong to him. But because there's Mechusar Amano, the Levi can trust on the Yisrael that he won't change his mind. But if he did change his mind, all he can do is Tyremis. That's it. But you see from here, Rayo, that it does work, you have Mechusar Amano in a small matam. So he gave money for sesame. The Sophia Akashushi. Then the Shushi got more expensive. So the sellers changed their mind. They didn't want to sell it. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any sesame. Shkol Zuzuch says, God, take your money back. He didn't take the money. Ignuf, and the money got stolen. Also, he made the Rava. One in front of Rava. Only he told you to take the money. He didn't want to take it. They didn't agree to keep it by them. Not only is not Shavasachar, it's not even a Shavachinam. I'm not agreeing to hold on to it. I said I told you to take it. You have a tightness, you don't want to take it, it's your problem. 1 second. But this guy took money. When you take money, as Rafa said in previous daf, once you take money, even though you could change your mind, but you're over Mishapara. Mishapara Dharma, and he has to accept it. So the so he says, sorry, Achanami. In other words, he has the owner. In other words, Rashi says, just let's explain the question. Maybe he did not accept on himself Mishapara. I mean, it's not the pshat that he just needs to say Mishapara. That's why he kept it. The question is, the owner maybe doesn't want to give it back because he has Mishapara. That's the question. So comes the guy and says, give me my shushu. He says, no, take the money. So he says, if you take the money, you should take Mishapara. And he doesn't want Mishapara. So that's why he kept the money. So well, you're right. And Hachanami, what is Hachanami? Or if you sham shushu and mikal Mishapara, you have a choice. You can either accept the shushavin or you Mishapara. So either he has to give him back the full sesame or accept Mishapara, the seller. But the seller right now said, I'm not giving you sesame. Don't give sesame, take Mishapara. So either he has to give the sesame. If he doesn't want, if he's agreeing to keep Mishapara, so then he does have to give the money. So this is a little doichak in the Lashon over here, exactly the Ma'alach, but that's what Rashi learns. Says the Gemara, Omar, it says the Gemara, Omar Papa, Omar Ravino, Ledidi Omar Liahumi Rabbanon, V'Rav Tavushme. Says Ravino, I want to tell you something. I found out the story. The story, the way the story is quoted is incorrect, as I was going to say in a moment. Because the seller, is Rav Tavois. That's who he is. That's his name. Some say his name was Ashur Barzuchu. If they gave him the entire world, all monies in the world, he would never change his word. I mean, no, they never lie. You never change his agreement. You never go back in his word. Sorry, right? Meaning, so this story that the guy changed his mind, that never happened. Because I know who the seller was. The seller would never change his mind. So what was the story? So he says, I'll tell you the story. The story happened with me. It was Erev Shabbos, right before Shabbos. I was sitting down in my house. This guy comes right before Shabbos and says on the door, do you have sesame to sell? Says my sesame base. No, I don't have any sesame to sell. He said, do me a favor, just hold on to the money, because why? It's getting dark before Shabbos. I can't hold on the money. So please keep the money. So he says, okay, go ahead. Here's the house. You can put it wherever you want in the house. He put it in the house, but it got stolen. Also, can be the that's what he told him. He says, put it wherever you want. You can put it, you can leave it there. I'm not accepting Shmira. So he's not only is that Shabbat, he's not even Shabbat.
Why are you giving him Rishos? You're not
so Tunis goes on, which Lashon? This Lashon, basic Kamok, even Rishos means, I'll hold on to it. Basic Kamok means, you be my guest, go in, do whatever you want. What about the question Rabbanan said? What about Mishapara? There's no Mishapara over here. So the story was above my. It's never happened. So interesting. One brings the story, the more has a problem with it. The more says the story never happened. Says the Gemara, Rab Shimon, wherever has the money, so we saw it in the Mishnah. Meaning Rab Shimon is the one who says the only one who can change his mind is the seller. So explains the Gemara. Tanya, Rab Shimon, Matar is not shakesef appears biyad moicha. The seller has both. So then he can change his mind. Why? Because of everybody agrees to that. But the buyer can't say that, so he can't change his mind. But if the money is by the seller and the fruits are already by the buyer, because he can't change his mind because the buyer is holding on to the money. So what do you mean? The seller is holding on to the money. And we should make kasubiyot because he took already the value of the money. So what do you mean? The transaction is over. He gave the money and he took the fruits. You can't change your mind. Of course not, because you're done. Meaning, There is a aliyah, second floor, an attic that belongs to the buyer. The buyer rented it out to the seller. Why after the Mashiach? They'll say, oh, I'm sorry, there was a fire in the attic and your wheat got burnt. Here that it belongs to the buyer, he's not the owner, he's renting it out. But he has, it's his property. If there will be a fire, he's going to go and take care of it. Always the owner, the landlord, is responsible for the insurance. He's going to take care of it. So what is the Gemara saying? If the seller put his items in a place he's renting from the buyer, then the transaction is over. Then the money works. Kinyan Kesef works. Why? Because there's no chashash about it burning, because the owner will take care of it, even though he doesn't own this place, because he's renting it out. Once you rent it out, you're not the owner. But he's the landlord. And the landlord is going to take care of the fire. This person who gave money for wine. Then he heard that the Rashi says the viceroy or the king wants to go and take it away. Take your money, I don't want the chama. The chama means a donkey. Chama can mean more, either donkey or wine. It didn't mean donkey. The same way, that's not like Rav Shimon. That's like Rabbanan according to Rabbi Yochanan, that he holds once you do with Misaka Mishicha, so both can change their mind, the seller and the buyer. Why? Because the fact the buyer can change his mind will incentivize the seller to protect the items, because he knows the buyer can always change his mind, and that's what the Gemara quoted before, that not like Rav Shimon, we hold Mishicha by both, and as seemingly the more Zir Paskering like Rabbanan. So this is the end of the sugya of Kinyan Mishicha, Kinyan Mois, and everything has to do with that. Now we're going to a sugya called Sugyas Oino. Now, just to give us a preview, what is Oino? Oino, what we're going to talk about, Oino means that a person sold, as we'll see in the Gemara immediately, sold or bought an item with not the right value. Rashi already quoted earlier in the Masechta, we talk about tzorchei nefesh. It has to be something that people need, like basic necessities. There is a certain value that is the market value. You're not allowed to sell much more than the market value. As we're going to see right away in the Mishnah, right away in the Samut, the value the Chachamim gave is called a shtus. Shtus means a 6. And it goes like this. Up to a 6, it's fine. You can increase the value, decrease the value by up to a 6, nothing happened over here. More than a 6, you could be mevatel the mekach. The entire sale can be void. We'll see more details about it later. 6 exactly. Konu machzir. You do a kinyan, you give back the 6, which is extra. So let's see now the Mishnah. How I know? What does I know? Arbo kesef mesrim v'arba kesef l'sela. It's 4 when you have 24 kesef in a sela. So 4 out of 24 is a 6. Meaning it has to be a change from the 24 by 4. Shtus l'mekach, a 6 for the sale. Ad matay mutar l'achzir. Until when can you change your mind? Say, I want my money back. Ad kadei sheyora l'tagul l'kriver. There's a certain limitation. You can't go 2 years later. Oh, by the way, it's overpaid. You have a certain limitation. He says, what is it exactly? He's discussing it. He has to go to his relative or to some merchant and figure out, is this the right value or not? If he had that time, he checked, he didn't come and complain, it's over. No, it's not 6, not 4 out of 24, but 8 out of 24, which is a third. The Samchut Tagori Lud, the merchants of Lud were very happy because they can now deceive, they can charge more up to a third. So yeah, he said he can change his mind the entire day. Not only until he goes to his grave. So we prefer the 6 and should be a short amount than a third and have the whole day where he can change his mind. So the Gemara, you get that this sugyo called Tagori Lud is the next daf, Beikar, Daf Nun, and it's a very big sugyo. Nomdis, Be'ez Hashem, we'll get to in tomorrow's daf. So the more Itmar. Rava mashtus mekach Shaninu. The shtus is based on the mekach, meaning if I have, the Gemara is going to explain, bring an example, but I have the value of the merchandise is worth X, you can, the shtus is when you have a 6 over the X of the merchandise. And that's what you have shtus. Shmuel ma shtus mois namishninu. Also, if you have shtus of the money. And the Gemara now explains. Shavishi, so you have an item that worth 6, bechamshu, and he sold it for 5. So the seller lost a 6. Or shavishito b'shiva, though it was 6 and he sold it for 7, 1 6 more. That's what the Mekach and Noah. It's something very important to realize. You realize it's not the same one. The one for the seller is a 6 less. The one for the buyer is a 7th out of the total. It's a 6 more than the value. Okay? Just to keep that in mind. So it's a Noah. Keep ligi, what they're arguing. It's worth 5 and he paid 6. The Shavi Shiva Bishito, or he was worth 7 and he paid 6. The Shmuel Dama somewhere is legal based on the money. Why? Because he paid 6. Look at the money part. The money is 6, and the value of the merchandise is 1/6 less than the money. Or it's worth 7 and it's 1/6 more than the money. So that's a 6 exactly. The Rav Dama, according to Rav, you don't look at the money. You look only at the merchandise itself. When he sells 5 for 6, it's how much more? It's not a 6, it's a 5th. Because I look at the merchandise. So it's more than a 6, the whole thing is butter. If he sells a 7 value for 6, because he's less than a 6. So according to Shmuel, you look at both. You look at the money to see if it's a 6 of the money. You look at the merchandise as well. According to Rav, you do only in the Mekach. Clearly in the Gemara, when you have no 6, not from the money part and not from the item part. In one way you can look at it, you'll see a 6. The money, it's a 6 more than the money, 6 less than the money. Or the Mecca, 6 more than the Mecca, 6 less. Or you know how the answer we know that we mentioned in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, let's now look at our Mishnah. Tonight, what's the Arba Kesef, Yeshiva Arba Kesef, let's sell her. Meaning if you sell a seller, it's worth 24 Kesef. And he made a 4, which is what? A 6. Shtus the Mekach. My lab, what is the case? The Zovin Shovin is stream Arba. He sold whatever is worth 20 by 24. So from the merchant part, for the merchandise part, it's a 5th more. But from the money part, it's a 6th more. Right? Because 4 is 6 of 24. So you look at the money, it's a 6 more. the merchandise is worth a 6 less than the money. You look at the merchandise, it's not a 6. You see we talk about money? Similar, no, not that he sold 20 or 24. He sold 24 by 20. It was worth 24, and he sold it for 20. Meaning he sold less than its value. Says the Gemara, and that's shtus of the Mekach. How much is the Mekach? 24. Shtus less than 24 is 20. Says the Gemara, Minisano. So who's the one who was hurt? If you sold a 24 value by 20, who's the one who lost? Moicher, the seller. That's what it says. So when you say, if you look at the next part of the Mishnah, until when can you go back? Until he has the chance to go show it to his relative or to a professional. That's only the buyer. The seller can always go back. That's what we'll see later why. You just said the Mishnah is talking about a seller, according to your case. And you just say next part of the Mishnah is talking about a buyer. No, very clear. The value of the item is 24. He sold it for 28. So it's a 6 more than the value of the item, because it's 4 more than the value of 24. And the one who's losing is the buyer. Another part of the Mishnah. Tonight, your Tavim gave her in Lud. What was I know? When he is 80 out of 24, which is the third. He gave 16 for 24. That's what we understand. Similar to the Havim before. It was worth 16, and he sold it for 24. Right? Shvami no shlish mois namish, meaning it's a third of the mois. Because from the 24 mois, it's really a third less that has the value of the item. You see, you don't go based on the mecca, you go based on the money. He sold 24 by 16. Says the Gemara again, the same idea. So who's the one who lost? The seller. Because instead of selling for 24, he sold for 16. So they told him you can change your mind the whole day. Only the buyer can change his mind. The seller can't change his mind the whole time. So what you see, we're not talking about the buyer, we're talking about the seller. So well, you're right. He sold a 24 value for 32. So it was worth 24. Third of that is 8. He sold it for 8 more than 24, 32. That's the third we talk about. So look, and it's based on the item, not based on the money. So you nail it. It all works. Similar to I can say the Shmuel. Bring a raya like Shmuel. They go based on the Mekach. Meaning what? That the one who lost, he has the options. He's the one who owns the options. What's the case? He sold him 5 for 6. Minisan, who lost out? Lekech, right? The buyer who bought instead of 5, bought 6. So the Lekech has the right. Or give me my money. Or tell me or give me at least the difference. Now continue on. Next case. 6 for 5. So Minisan who's the one who lost out. Moicher. So the seller has the right. To give me back what I sold you. Or tell me give me the difference. So what do you see over here? What's the 6? It's based on the money. It was worth 5, and they sold it for 6. Right? The second case is worth 6, they're worth 5. But the first case is worth 5 and he sold it for 6. That's not a shtos, that's a fifth. Elamai, go based on the money, not based on the money as well, not only based on the item, and that's a raya to Shmuel, and that's what Gemara says, and this is really basically the beginning of this sugya. And just to mention one thing, and this will end. If you realize over here, it seems to be a little bit arbitrary. Why? Because when you go and play with it seems to be, we made up this concept called shtos, 6. You're saying, let's take Shmuel. What's a 6? Well, as long as you have somewhere to have a 6, is a 6 less than the money or a 6 more than the money? A 6 less than the Mecca, 6 more than the Mecca, that's a shtos. Why? Misvara, that doesn't make so much sense. The shtos, why should it be, what is this idea of shtos? It has to be the chura. A person, you have to say, what's the normal way? A person can make a little profit. You make too much? No. So it depends. It's always going to be relative. Right? Right? The shtus. You see from here that the concept of shtus is never kavua. Either because that's what Rabbanan gave us as a shtus, or opinionim b'Kabbalah, there's even of shtus, a 6, like a bottle b'shish, such a thing, that we always have this number 6 we use, and even though it not necessarily always goes in the same way. I said, we'll stop over here. And Be'ez Hashem continue from the top of Mount Daftar. What?
The thing with shtus is even though both.
No, shtus is not a katos. Katos is only if it's more than a shtus.
Right, but if it's more than a shtus.
So then it's a katos.
If you know about it, it's still not both.
No, if you know somebody who was moichel, talk about they didn't know about it. He has to show something. Okay. We'll stop over here.